Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're going to be looking at the Play Arts Kai Man of Steel Superman figure. Pretty cool figure. I want to talk about the accessories first, so let's set him down. He comes with what most of the Play Arts, or maybe all of them, I don't have all of them so I can't say, but the base that the Play Arts Kai figures are coming with now. It's a display stand. It's all clear, mostly clear plastic, kind of frosty looking, but over here is how you put it all together. You know, it has the different size clips and it's adjustable for height, and pretty cool stand, pretty much just a display stand to keep your figures from taking a shelf dive. It can hold them up, you know, in the air a little bit, but it's probably not ideal for that because they are pretty heavy and you want to be careful with that. And this is on a separate card back, so you can slide this in and out of the package, and there's a black blister for the figure that goes on top, so tearing this up won't really affect the display ability of the package. On this side you can see that he has interchangeable hands. Whoop-de-doo. Alright, so other than that, the only accessories we get are the interchangeable hands. We have the open palms here. Nothing really fancy going on about that. Some vein work, some bad shading, and that's it. So he has those hands. And he has two fist hands, and that's it for the accessories. Now if you look at the figure, aside from maybe the legs being a little bit too big, which is common for Play Arts, they're not too bad though, and it's not going to really stand out. It really does capture the look of the Man of Steel Superman. The proportions are pretty well done as far as musculature and bulk and that kind of thing, and it just looks really good. I think the face isn't 100% spot on for the Henry Cavill Superman, but it's pretty close. It's definitely not a bad sculpt. It could be a little better, but it's definitely good enough to where I'm okay with it. Cape tucks in nicely. There's the texturing throughout the entire suit for, I need to clean that up a little bit. It's got some mold release in there, but there's texturing throughout the entire suit. Everything looks good. The only texturing that's not there is on the joints. The knees, the ankles, any joint pretty much doesn't have any texturing. So the sculpt is really good. The sculpt of the cape, also pretty good. I don't care for the fact that it is narrower at the cape itself than at this top part. Since it is supposed to all be one piece, it should blend a lot more seamlessly. And the lines do technically line up, the little folds, but it just doesn't look quite right. This isn't shaded as heavily and it doesn't actually line up. So that's a little bit of a bummer for me. I have a couple of spots of blue paint on there, but I can clean those up, no big deal. And so the sculpt is pretty good. I'm okay with the sculpt, all in all. As far as paintwork goes, I'm also pretty happy with that. The blue is a nice kind of like slate blue. I think maybe it could be a little bit more blue, but it's definitely good enough. It looks good. The reds are good. The only thing I don't care about as far as the reds go are the boots are a little bit lighter than everything else. So that doesn't look quite as good as it could, but it's definitely not a big deal. All the line work is clean and crisp, no problems there. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. As far as articulation goes, the head is on a double ball peg as is normal for the Play Arts figures. The neck is on a ball peg too, so you can get all kinds of posability out of that. Can't get him to look up though, that's the only problem. They left his hair kind of long in the back, so you can't bring his head up high enough to look up. So that's a little bit of an issue. Torso is on a double ball peg. It's nice and stiff, so you don't have to worry about any floppy torso joints. The lower torso joint is also pretty stiff, and it's also on a ball peg that shoots up into the torso. This is a floating groin piece, again, common for Play Arts, so that's not going to impede any articulation. It's nicely sculpted as well. It does give him a little bit of a banana hammock look, kind of like he's wearing a Speedo. It doesn't blend too seamlessly into the hips, but it could be a little better, but it's not horrible, especially once you pose him. The hips do stick out a little bit more than I'd like, but again, once you give him any sort of posing, it's not even noticeable, so I don't have a problem there. And then the hips are ratcheted side to side and forward and back, so that's pretty good. They do swivel around that joint just a little bit, not a ton, but they do. Double jointed knees. Again, they could be a little bit better, but they're not horrible. And then the ankles are the ball hinge that we're used to, so it ratchets, then it swivels at the shin, at the foot, and then there's also a foot swivel that I don't care for. I'll show you on this one. You know, that's not really necessary. We don't need that extra piece in there because of the way the ankles are designed. You get all the ankle rocker you need after a little finagling. So you don't really need that extra cut joint. It's just an unneeded piece of articulation. So unnecessary, but whatever. The shoulders have the butterfly joint in them, which is common for play arts figures, so that's good. Bicep swivel, the shoulder is a ball hinge. Double jointed, or not double jointed, single jointed elbow, same joint as the ankle, so it swivels at the bicep and the forearm and is ratcheted. And then the wrists also have that same type of joint. So full range of articulation for everything for this guy. Really no limitations on the posability either, so you're not going to have any trouble displaying this guy in a nice pose. The cape itself has two of the ball hinges, same as the wrists or the ankles, and the reason they did that is I originally thought it was just to cut costs because it's a one-piece cape, unlike most of the Batman figures, so I figured it would just have like a flat hinge to let it go up or down, but it has two of the ball hinges, and I think that's because if you want to, you can kind of still turn it to the side, and it'll just unplug from one of the ball hinges, because they're just standard pegs, so that allows you to turn it from side to side if you want to, instead of just having it go up and down. Which is okay. It's ugly, of course, with that there, but from the front, it looks okay. So I'm alright with that. And then, of course, it goes all the way up. So that's pretty good. One gripe I do have is the cape is too long for him to stand with it unless he's standing completely straight up. If you bend his knees at all, the cape is going to be longer than his legs, and it's a little bit of a problem. But if you want to pose him flying, which I suspect most people will, you won't have any trouble at all. Great looking figure. Really not too many serious complaints about it, just those few little issues. Just for a quick size comparison, next to Zod. Zod's a little bit bigger. Actually, he's a lot a bit bigger. So I'm not so sure about that. I'm pretty sure Zod's not that much bigger in the movie. I only watched it the one time. I did like it. I just never saw it a second time. But I don't think even with the armor on, Zod should be quite that big. But what are you going to do, I guess, if you put Superman flying, and then you can't even tell, really. So, you know, no big deal, I guess. So we'll talk about Zod in his own review. There's Superman. He stands, I don't think I did this yet, he stands just under 9.5 inches tall. So pretty good size for the Play Arts Kai Superman. There it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.